The galaxy buzzed with excitement. The famous Orion Spiral Derby was coming soon, a race held only once every 100 years. Ships from all advanced worlds would compete across dangerous space routes to win glory and respect. When the small blue, planet Earth sent their application to join, most aliens laughed. Humans had only traveled between stars for about 80 years. They were babies compared to races that had explored space for thousands of years. Captain Sunwoo stood on the bridge of the human ship Tenacity, looking at the stars through the main viewport. Their fusion-powered vessel seemed ancient compared to the incredible alien technologies. Most galactic ships used quantum drives or artificial wormholes to travel. The Tenacity just pushed hot plasma out the back really fast. "Captain, incoming transmission from the Racing Federation," said Minji, the communications officer. Her fingers moved quickly across the glowing panel. Sunwoo nodded, straightening her uniform jacket. The screen flickered to show a tall, purple-skinned alien with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. "Captain Sunwoo of Earth vessel Tenacity," the alien said without greeting. "Your application has been considered." "Thank you, Commissioner." "Correct," Sunwoo replied politely. "The Federation has decided to allow your participation as part of our cultural diversity program," the alien continued, 2 of his eyes blinking while the others remained fixed on her. "Though we must warn you that completing the course with your primitive technology may prove impossible." After the transmission ended, Sunwoo let out a long breath. The crew on the bridge stayed quiet, waiting for her reaction. "Well," she finally said with a small smile, "at least we're in the race." Dong-hyun, the pilot, laughed. "They put us at 5,000 to 1 odds. Nobody thinks we'll even finish the first leg." "Good," said Sunwoo. "We like being underestimated." Deep in the engineering section of Tenacity, Chief Engineer Ji-woo worked silently, in a sealed compartment that didn't appear on the official ship plans. For 5 years, he had developed something special, a technology that bent physics in ways the aliens hadn't considered. The Federation inspectors had walked right past the hidden room, assuming humans couldn't possibly have any secrets worth discovering. Ji-woo carefully adjusted the glowing blue device in the center of the room. The gravity slingshot amplifier looked simple, almost like something built in someone's garage, but its effects were revolutionary. It could multiply momentum around large space objects like stars and planets, creating acceleration no fusion engine could match. "How's our secret weapon?" asked Sunwoo, entering the hidden room. Ji-woo looked up, dark circles under his eyes showing his exhaustion. "It works in simulations, Captain, but we've never tested it at full power. It might tear the ship apart." Sunwoo nodded. "Or it might let us surprise everyone." 2 weeks later, Tenacity arrived at Alpha Centauri Station, where all racing ships gathered before the start. The human vessel looked small and outdated next to the sleek alien crafts. The station buzzed with activity as final preparations were made. The Valaxians, blue-skinned aliens who had won the last 12 races, made a special trip to the human docking bay. Their captain, a tall figure named Nexor, walked slowly around Tenacity, making exaggerated gestures of amazement. "Remarkable," Nexor said loudly to his crew. "I believe they're actually using chemical thrusters for station keeping. How quaint!" His crew laughed, their voices carrying across the bay. Sunwoo's team continued their work, pretending not to hear. Later, that evening, at the pre-race gala, representatives from 27 advanced civilizations gathered in the station's grand hall. Captains and crews mingled, discussing race strategies and technological innovations. Sunwoo stood with her senior officers, feeling out of place among the exotic beings. Many aliens avoided the humans completely. Others came over simply to ask questions that highlighted Earth's technological backwardness. Only one alien approached with genuine respect. A tall, slender being with silver skin and no visible eyes introduced himself as Toru. "Your species has a fascinating reputation," Toru said in a musical voice. "You accomplish much with little. This quality is rare in the galaxy." "Thank you," said Sunwoo, surprised by the comment. "Most believe technology alone determines the winner," Toru continued. "But races are won by those who think differently when challenges arise." That night, as most crews celebrated, Minji discovered something alarming during her final systems check. "Captain," she called over the comm. "Someone's damaged our primary navigation circuits." Sun Wu rushed back to find Ji Wu already working to repair the sabotage. The damage was clever, made to look like an accident, but clearly intentional. "Can we fix it?" Sun Wu asked. Ji Wu nodded grimly. "Yes, but we'll need to work all night." "Do it," ordered Sun Wu. "Tomorrow we show them what humans can do." As Alpha Centauri's light dimmed in the station's night cycle, the human crew worked tirelessly. Their ship might look primitive, but inside it held human ingenuity, the one thing the galaxy constantly underestimated. The morning of the race arrived with flashing lights and loud announcements across Alpha Centauri Station. 27 ships prepared for the greatest race in the galaxy. Crowds of aliens from hundreds of worlds filled the observation decks, eager to witness the start of the legendary derby. Sun Wu walked through Tenacity one last time, checking each station. Her crew had worked through the night to repair the sabotage. They looked tired but determined. "Status report," she said, entering the bridge. "Navigation systems operating at 93%, replied Minji from her console. "Not perfect, but it will work." "Engines ready," added Ji Wu through the comm system. "Our special modification is installed and hidden." Dong Hyun sat at the pilot station, his fingers dancing across the controls. "Course plotted, Captain, though I still think it's crazy." Sun Wu nodded. Their race plan broke every rule in standard space navigation. While other ships would follow the established racing corridors, Tenacity would take shortcuts through regions, others considered too dangerous. Outside the ship, Federation inspectors made their final checks of all vessels. So a tall green-skinned alien with 6 arms worked methodically around Tenacity's hull, scanning with various devices. He kept making disapproving sounds. "This vessel's shielding is below recommended safety levels," the inspector announced. "And your radiation containment is outdated by at least 50 years. But does it violate any rules?" Sun Wu asked calmly. The inspector checked his data pad, all 6 arms moving in frustration. "Technically, no. You meet the minimum requirements." He leaned closer. "But flying this ship through the course is practically suicide." "We'll take our chances," Sun Wu replied with a smile. 2 hours before launch, all captains gathered for the traditional race briefing. The Federation's chief marshal, a floating cloud of purple gas contained in a transparent suit, hovered at the front of the room. "The course this year is particularly challenging," the marshal announced, its voice coming through a translator. 15 checkpoints across 5 sectors, including passage through the Cygnus Nebula, the edge of black hole J7745, and finally the quantum storm front. Holograms showed the official course, a winding path through some of the most dangerous regions of space. Several captains whispered to each other, clearly concerned about the final leg through the quantum storm. The Valaxian captain, Nexor, raised a hand. "Some vessels may not be equipped to handle such conditions," he said, looking directly at Sun Wu. "Perhaps an alternative route for less advanced ships." "All competitors face the same challenges," the marshal replied firmly. "That is tradition." As the captains filed out after the briefing, Nexor blocked Sun Wu's path. "Your primitive vessel won't survive the black hole passage," he said quietly. "I suggest you withdraw now, before you embarrass your species." Sun Wu met his four-eyed gaze calmly. "We'll see you at the finish line." Back on Tenacity, final preparations accelerated. The crew checked and double-checked every system. Their plan relied on perfect timing and the untested gravity amplifier. 1 hour to launch, announced Minji. Jiwoo came to the bridge looking nervous. "Captain, I need to tell you something about the amplifier." "What is it?" asked Sun Wu. "The simulations show it works perfectly, but—" he hesitated. "If it fails during operation, the energy backflow could destroy the ship instantly." Silence fell across the bridge. "So we either win with it or die trying?" Dongyun finally asked. "Basically, yes," Jiwoo admitted. Sun Wu considered this information. "Does everyone still want to race?" The crew exchanged glances, then nodded one by one. "Humans never back down from a challenge," said Minji with a smile. 30 minutes before launch, all ships moved into position. Tenacity was placed at the back of the formation, its smaller size and presumed slower speed making it an afterthought in the starting arrangement. On the main communication channel, Commentators from across the galaxy discussed the race. "And in last position, we have the human vessel Tenacity," said one voice, "making Earth's first appearance in the derby. While not expected to be competitive, their participation marks another species joining the galactic community." Another commentator laughed. "I'm just hoping they finish a leg or two before withdrawing. Their fusion drive technology is at least 3 centuries behind the nearest competitor." Sun Wu turned off the channel. "We don't need to hear that." The pure countdown began. Lights flashed across the starting area. Tenacity's engines hummed, ready for action. 10 seconds, announced Minji. Dongyun's hands gripped the controls tightly. "Remember," said Sun Wu, "we don't need to lead early. Just stay in the race until we reach the first gravity well." The signal flashed across space, a brilliant burst of light marking the start of the race. 27 ships surged forward, engines glowing with various colors. The Valaxian ship immediately took the lead, its quantum drive creating a beautiful ripple effect in space. Tenacity moved steadily, but remained far behind the others. Within minutes, the distance between the human ship and the leaders grew enormous. "Holding back as planned, Captain," reported Dongyun. Sun Wu nodded, watching the tactical display. "Perfect. Let them think we're struggling to keep up. The real race begins at the first star. Remember to properly cite your sources when using web search results. Make sure to wrap specific claims derived from search results in tags, where the index refers to the source document and sentence supporting the claim. Remember, you can only cite from sentence indices in the search results, not from the document context. Use the minimum number of sentences necessary to support each claim." The first 6 hours of the race unfolded exactly as everyone expected. Tenacity stayed far behind the other ships, barely visible on the racing monitors. The Valaxians held first place, followed closely by 3 other advanced vessels. Most viewers had already forgotten about the human ship. "Now approaching the Sirius star cluster," announced Minji. 7 stars, perfect for our plan." Sun Wu nodded, standing behind Dongyun's pilot chair. "Everyone ready? This is where our real race begins." While the leading ships maintained their course along the official racing corridor, a safe path designed by the Federation, Tenacity suddenly changed direction. Dongyun guided the ship directly toward the center of the star cluster, a route considered extremely dangerous. "Captain, we're receiving warnings from race control," said Minji. "They're questioning our course change." "Tell them we're experiencing minor navigation problems, but have it under control," Sun Wu replied. "We don't want them to interfere." As Tenacity approached the first massive star in the cluster, Jiwu's voice came through the comm system from engineering. "Gravity amplifier ready for activation, Captain. All systems green." "Activate on my mark," Sun Wu ordered, watching the distance counter carefully. 3, 2, 1, mark. Deep inside the ship, the hidden device hummed to life. Blue energy pulsed through specially designed circuits. The crew felt a strange sensation, like being pulled in all directions at once. "It's working," shouted Jiwu over the increasing noise of the engines. The massive gravity of the star began pulling on Tenacity, but instead of fighting against it, the amplifier multiplied the effect and converted it to forward momentum. The ship shot forward at incredible speed, riding the gravitational waves like a surfer on ocean swells. "Speed increasing by factor of 5, 7 or 10, reported Dongyun, his eyes wide as he watched the readouts. "This is incredible." As they passed the first star, Dongyun adjusted their course slightly to approach the second star in the cluster. The process repeated, each gravity well adding to their speed. By the time they exited the cluster, Tenacity was moving faster than it had ever been designed to go. "Ship status?" asked Sun Wu, gripping her chair as the vessel vibrated. "Around them." "Hull temperature rising but still within safe limits," reported Minji. "The reinforcements we added are holding." On the racing broadcasts across the galaxy, commentators suddenly noticed the unusual movement of the human ship. "Wait, what's this?" "The Earth vessel Tenacity appears to be taking a dangerous shortcut through the Sirius cluster," one announcer said with surprise. "And they're gaining speed. This is unexpected." By the time Tenacity reached the 4th checkpoint, they had climbed from last place to 12th. The alien spectators were confused and intrigued. How could a primitive fusion-powered ship move so quickly? At the 6th checkpoint, a space station orbiting a red dwarf star, Tenacity had reached 8th place. Race officials swarmed the human ship during the mandatory inspection stop, looking for illegal modifications. "Your vessel is exceeding its theoretical maximum speed," said the chief inspector, waving scanning devices around Sunwoo. "How is this possible with fusion technology?" "Excellent piloting and good course plotting," Sunwoo replied with a smile. "Nothing in the rules against using gravity to our advantage. The inspectors found nothing that violated the rules." The gravity amplifier remained hidden in its secret compartment, its energy signature masked by clever engineering. As Tenacity prepared to leave the checkpoint, Sunwoo noticed the Valaxian captain watching their ship with obvious concern. News had reached the race leaders that the humans were climbing through the ranks at an impossible pace. The next section of the race passed through a dense asteroid field. While other ships carefully navigated around the field's edges, Donghyun piloted Tenacity directly through its center, another dangerous shortcut that saved precious time. "This is insane," he shouted as he twisted the ship between two massive rocks. "No one flies through fields this dense." "Humans do," replied Sunwoo calmly. "We've been training in asteroid simulations for months." By the 10th checkpoint, Tenacity had reached 4th place, directly behind the Valaxian ship. The entire galaxy was watching now, amazed at the human vessel's performance. The Valaxian captain was no longer amused. As both ships approached the neutron star checkpoint, his vessel suddenly changed course, cutting directly across Tenacity's path. "Collision alert!" shouted Minji. "They're trying to force us off course." Donghyun reacted instantly, diving the ship into a dangerous spin that narrowly avoided the Valaxian vessel. The maneuver cost them time but prevented a catastrophic collision. "They're getting desperate," said Sunwoo, watching the Valaxian ship pull ahead again. "They know we're a real threat now." As Tenacity passed the neutron star, using its immense gravity field for another speed boost, the crew felt a new sense of possibility. They were no longer just participants, they were contenders. "Next stop, the Cygnus asteroid field," said Sunwoo, looking at her determined crew. "And then we take the lead." The race had been going for 30 hours straight. Inside Tenacity, the crew worked in shifts, fighting exhaustion. They had climbed to 3rd place, shocking everyone across the galaxy. Only the Valaxian ship and a vessel from the crystalline Zatari race remained ahead. As they approached the massive Cygnus asteroid field, warning lights suddenly flashed across the bridge. A loud alarm blared through the ship. "What's happening?" Sunwoo asked, rushing to Minji's station. Minji's fingers moved quickly over her console. "The gravity amplifier is overheating. We've used it too many times without a cooling period." Jiwoo's voice came through the comm, sounding stressed. "Captain, we have a serious problem in engineering. The amplifier's containment field is becoming unstable." Sunwoo hurried down to engineering, climbing through maintenance tubes as the ship shook around her. When she reached the hidden compartment, she found Jiwoo surrounded by flashing red lights and emergency cooling systems spraying mist into the air. The gravity amplifier glowed with intense blue energy that pulsed in an uneven pattern. Parts of the device were turning white-hot. "How bad is it?" Sunwoo asked, having to shout over the noise. "Temperature is 300% above safe limits," Jiwoo replied, not looking up from his work. "The core could rupture at any moment. If that happens, the energy release would destroy the ship instantly." "Can we fix it?" Jiwoo wiped sweat from his face. "I can try to stabilize it, but we need to shut it down for at least 8 hours to let it cool properly." Sunwoo's face fell. 8 hours would put us back in last place. We'd lose everything we've gained." "I know," said Jiwoo, "but the alternative is risking complete destruction." Sunwoo returned to the bridge and called the senior crew together for a quick meeting. "We have a choice to make," she explained. "We can shut down the amplifier and ensure our safety, or we can keep pushing and risk everything." Donghyun looked at the race status on the main screen. "We've come too far to give up now." "But is winning worth our lives?" asked Minji. Silence fell across the bridge as everyone considered the question. "What if there's a third option?" Jiwoo said finally. "We could redirect power from non-essential systems to boost the cooling capabilities. It wouldn't be enough for safe operation, But it might prevent catastrophic failure. What systems would we need to shut down? Asked Sunwoo. Life support in unused sections of the ship, secondary shielding, and... Jiwoo hesitated. Crew comfort systems, temperature control, gravity, stabilization, water recycling, so we'd be uncomfortable but alive, Donghyun asked. Possibly, said Jiwoo. It's still extremely risky. The ship's AI assistant spoke up from the central computer. Captain, I must advise against this course of action. Safety protocols exist for a reason. The probability of system failure is 78.6%. Sunwoo looked at each crew member in turn. This is a group decision. Everyone needs to agree. One by one, they nodded. No one had come this far to surrender now. Make the adjustments, Sunwoo ordered. Within minutes, the ship's interior changed dramatically. The temperature rose to uncomfortable levels. In some sections, gravity weakened, causing objects to float gently upward. The lights dimmed to save power. But the gravity amplifier stabilized slightly, its pulsing blue glow becoming more regular. As they entered the Cygnus asteroid field, Tenacity was hot, dark, and difficult to control. The crew stripped down to minimal clothing, sweat covering their bodies as they worked. Approaching optimal trajectory for the next gravity boost, called Donghyun, his voice strained. Ahead, the field was a chaotic mess of rocks, ice chunks, and metal fragments. Most ships would go around it, but the direct path would save precious time. The Valaxian ship is attempting to follow our course, reported Minji, watching the tactical display. They're trying to match our shortcut. Sunwoo smiled grimly. They don't know what they're doing. Their ship isn't designed for this kind of maneuvering. Donghyun guided Tenacity through impossibly narrow gaps between asteroids, using small bursts from the maneuvering thrusters. The human ship darted and weaved, like a bird flying through a forest. The Valaxian vessel tried to follow but wasn't as nimble. Their larger, more advanced ship struggled with the quick turns and narrow passages. They're falling behind, said Minji. Wait, they just hit something. On the external cameras, they watched as the beautiful Valaxian ship clipped a spinning asteroid. The impact tore off one of its elegant fins, sending the vessel into an uncontrolled spin. Emergency systems stopped it from crashing into more asteroids, but they were clearly damaged. That puts us in second place, said Sunwoo. Only the Zatori ship ahead now. Just then, a massive shudder ran through Tenacity. The lights flickered, and several consoles sparked. Engine room, Sunwoo called over the comm. What was that? Jiwoo's voice came back, barely audible over alarms. The amplifier containment field just dropped to critical levels. We're losing it. Can you hold it together for one more boost? Asked Sunwoo. We're approaching the gravity well that could put us in first place. I'm trying, Jiwoo replied, but I can't promise anything. As they approached the largest asteroid in the field, a dwarf planet with significant gravity, everyone held their breath. One more boost could put them ahead of the Zatori ship. One more boost could win them the race, or it could tear them apart completely. The final stage of the race loomed ahead, the dreaded quantum storm front. Only 3 ships remained in contention, the Zatori vessel in first place, Tenacity in Tua second, and the damaged Valaxian ship struggling to maintain third position. From the outside, Tenacity looked terrible. Its hull glowed red from heat stress. Parts of the outer plating had peeled away, exposing inner systems. Inside, conditions were even worse. The temperature had risen to nearly unbearable levels. The air tasted metallic from emergency oxygen. Systems. The crew moved in slow motion, fighting exhaustion and heat. Status report, Sunwoo ordered, wiping sweat from her eyes. The amplifier survived the last boost, Jiwoo reported from engineering, but just barely. Core temperature is critical. Containment field strength at 22%. Navigation systems failing, added Minji. We're down to manual control. For the final stretch. On the main view screen they could see the quantum storm front, a churning barrier of energy where normal physics broke down. Strange colors and patterns shifted across its surface. No sensor could penetrate it. Ships had to navigate through it based on pre-programmed paths or pure instinct. The Zatori ship approached the storm first. Its crystalline structure glittered as it deployed advanced quantum shielding, technology specifically designed to handle these conditions. The ship entered the storm, surrounded by a perfect bubble of stable space. "They're using quantum stabilizers," observed Dongyun. "We don't have anything like that." "Actually," Jiwoo said, a small smile forming on his tired face, "we might have something better." "What do you mean?" asked Sunwoo. "Every other ship is using complex technology to fight against the storm's chaos," explained Jiwoo. "But our simpler design might actually work in our favor. Sometimes flexibility is better than strength." Sunwoo understood immediately. "Like a reed bending in the wind instead of a rigid tree breaking." "Exactly," Jiwoo nodded. "Our hull is simpler. It can flex and adapt. And the gravity amplifier, if we reverse its polarity, we might be able to ride the quantum fluctuations. Instead of fighting them, can you make that happen?" "I think so," said Jiwoo, "but it's never been tested. No one has ever tried something like this before." Sunwoo looked at her crew. They were tired, overheated, and pushed beyond normal human limits, but determination shone in their eyes. "Let's make history," she said simply. As tenacity approached the storm, Jiwoo made the final adjustments to the gravity amplifier. Instead of creating a stable bubble like the Zatori ship, they would use the storm's own energy to propel them forward. "Entering storm in 30 seconds, announced Dongyun. His hands gripped the manual controls tightly. "Amplifier reconfigured and ready," reported Jiwoo. "All crew secure yourselves," ordered Sunwoo. "This will be rough." The moment tenacity touched the edge of the storm, reality seemed to shift. Normal space gave way to swirling patterns of energy. Light bent in impossible ways. Sound became color. Up and down lost meaning. Alarms screamed across the ship as systems tried to make sense of what they were experiencing. The ship's AI fell, silent, unable to process the contradictory data. But Jiwoo's theory proved correct. Where the rigid Zatori ship fought against every fluctuation, tenacity flowed with them. The reversed gravity amplifier absorbed quantum energy patterns and converted them to forward momentum. The human ship moved through the storm like a leaf in a hurricane, tossed violently, but always moving forward. The crew endured crushing. Forces one moment and weightlessness the next. Reality flickered around them. "We're gaining on the Zatori ship," shouted Minji, clinging to her station as the ship bucked wildly. Through the chaos, they caught glimpses of the crystalline vessel ahead. Its perfect quantum bubble was holding, but the energy required to maintain it was slowing it down. "Hull temperature critical," warned Jiwoo. "Outer sensors melting." "Can we survive long enough to reach the end?" asked Sunwoo. "Unknown," replied Jiwoo honestly. "We're in uncharted territory." The ship shuddered violently as a particularly strong quantum wave hit them. For a moment, everything went dark. Then emergency systems kicked in, restoring minimal power. "We just lost the main engine," reported Jiwoo. "Running on auxiliaries now." "Look," cried Dongyun, pointing at the view screen. Through the swirling chaos ahead, a faint line of normal space appeared, the finish line. The Zatori ship was almost there, but tenacity was closing fast. "One more push," said Sunwoo. "Everything we have left into the amplifier. That might destroy it completely," warned Jiwoo. "We only need it to work for 30 more seconds." Jiwoo nodded and diverted all remaining power to the gravity amplifier. The blue glow in the engine room turned to blinding white. The ship lurched forward with a final burst of speed. Inside the bridge, panels exploded with sparks. The heat became almost unbearable. But through the view screen, they could see they were now alongside the Zatori ship. With a final desperate surge, tenacity pulled ahead, just as both ships crossed the threshold back into normal space. Silence fell across the human vessel as all non-essential systems shut down to prevent complete failure. Through the view screen, they could see the finish line marker, and they had crossed it first. "We did it," whispered Minji in disbelief. Across the galaxy, billions of viewers watched in stunned silence as the race results appeared. An Earth-ship Tenacity, Zatori Collective Vessel, Valaxian Imperial Racer. The impossible had happened. Humans had won the greatest race in the galaxy with their primitive technology. Later, as Captain Sunwoo stood on the winner's platform accepting the ancient trophy, reporters crowded around her. "How did you do it?" they asked. "What was your secret?" Sunwoo smiled, looking at her proud crew. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one, and humans are very good at finding simple solutions to difficult problems. As alien engineers swarmed around Tenacity, trying to understand how it had accomplished the impossible, Sun Wu was approached by the Federation's Grand Commissioner. "Your technology is remarkable," the alien said. "The galactic community would pay handsomely for the rights to your gravity amplifier design." Sun Wu considered the offer for a moment, then shook her head. "Thank you, but we'll keep our secrets for now. After all," she added with a smile, "we're already planning improvements for the next race."